Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Holland, the captain of the Green Screens Media Ship. We're bringing you a combination show here, a lightning live before lock edition for today's slate that starts in like 25 minutes. So we're going to run through these 8 games. And then after that, we are going to bring in Napesy Hustle. We're going to do a recap show. I know it's a little early on a Sunday, but hey, we want to enjoy the rest of the day. I want to get you guys some information. So having said that, we've got the 8-gamer that tips off here shortly. You can do a lot of different things on this slate. We're going to bring you our core 4 here. We're going to go with Trey Jackson, the forward from Michigan, at 4,200 versus Purdue. Yes, he did go for 19 fantasy points in that spot start for Olivier Cromwell, who was out. He should be starting again here. So for 4,200, he's still too cheap, even though the matchup's pretty tough. Elijah Hawkins, the guard for Minnesota, he's 7,500 in an absolute smash spot playing max minutes. John L. Davis from FAU. This is too low of a price for his ceiling at 7,900 in a pace-up spot against Memphis. And then Oso Ighodaro, who's just been so good during conference play, 8,200 in a DVP spot against Xavier. So that core 4 is going to leave you with 5,550 left to spend, and we're going to have to take some shots on some value plays. So having said that, why don't we dive on into this 8-game slate? Mama Rocks is coming in saying, what a surprise. Yeah, absolutely, Mama Rocks. This is last minute. We're going to try to dive through this 8-gamer in 20 minutes. So Creighton, -2 at St. John's, 150-point total. Creighton won last time they played 66-65, so kind of an ugly game. Expect a little more scoring in this one. St. John's Soriano with 13-11, Shireman 17-12. Creighton, obviously, one of my favorite to win it all. They're getting a little bit of a assist rate boost here. So you do have to like Baylor Shireman here, 9,400. Yes, it is a pricey price tag, but he's just been so good. I've been living in the 40s, had a 31 last time, but you can kind of toss that one out. He should probably be back into the 40s in this spot. You know, you can play Alexander, Kalkbrenner, Ashworth. They're obviously the big 4. You can pick one, spin the wheel on these guys. I've got Farabello in one lineup. He's 4K. Trying to get 3 to 4X today on some of these value plays will be good enough on this slate. So I think we have a 3K to first, and I've got 5 lineups in, and then also got a dollar joint that is probably filled up by now. But Farabello, I do have in one lineup. On the St. John's side, Creighton's 4th in defensive efficiency. I think I really only have interest in one guy. That is Joel Soriano, now playing 30 minutes again after the Kumbaya session with Rick Pitino. 32 and 37 in the last 2. He's 7,200. Obviously had a double-double in the first spot, so definitely like this advantage at home against a slow-footed Ryan Kalkbrenner. You can also look at Danish Jenkins. He's 8K. The rest of the St. John squad, though, it's pretty much a mess, so I'm just going to pass on the rest of the guys. Sliding over to the ugliest game on the slate, Maryland +1 at Rutgers, 119. This one is absolutely disgusting. This first matchup went to 109. It was 56-53. Rutgers on the road. Williams had 14-5-1 for Rutgers. Reese had 19-12. Jameer Young with the weird double-double, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. On the Maryland side, it really comes down to Young and Reese for me. Reese is 8K, which is too cheap, even though this is kind of an ugly, dirty matchup. But the good thing is Rutgers hasn't been that great against big men, so fire him up. You know, he can get you a 5X ceiling at 8K. Young obviously going to play the entire game as well. He does have some upside, but this feels like their upside's a little capped with this 119-point total. So Jameer Young also playable for Maryland. On the Rutgers side, really sticking to 2 guys. This could be Jeremiah Williams at 6,800. Should just play 30 minutes. 6,800 kind of ugly. This is more of a contrarian tournament play. So is Cliff Omorier at 7,400. Both just tournament plays. Not excited for either one of these guys. So if you want to be different and get somebody low owned on this Rutgers side and maybe get an overtime or something, I could definitely see that. SMU, the next game here, -3 at South Florida, 143-point total. This is the only meeting between these two squads. As a couple of people checking in here, it looks like Cam saying good luck today, everyone. Jason B dropping a good morning, Mike. Hey, Jason, Jay told me you had a pretty good day, man. Congrats. I also had a pretty good day. I was profitable on all 3 slates yesterday. So, yeah, man, the bankroll's looking not as thick as yours, man, since you had that nice little win, but it's looking pretty good. But sliding over this SMU side, I mean, South Florida, they're first in defensive efficiency. So there's not a lot to like when you're playing against the number one team defense in the conference. And then also you are looking at kind of a mess with the rotations. I mean, there's going to be like 10 to 11 guys that check in for SMU. If I had one interest in someone, it's going to be Zurich Phelps at 7,100. South Florida's 241st in opponent assist rate. He is a guy that dishes out dimes and does score for SMU. 23, 35, and 30 in the last three. I guess you could take a look at Harris. Check Harris at 6,500 as a pivot, but I'm not all that excited in this matchup. Both teams are implied for about 70 points, which is okay. So Phelps and Harris are the guys that are going to play 30 minutes. Jalen Smith at 4,300, more of a just kind of in the value player pool. If you want to get someone to maybe stack with Phelps or Harris, the thing is they just play so many guys like Ricardo Wright that it gets a little annoying. On the South Florida side, SMU is fourth in defensive efficiency. Yeah, Pryor's sitting there at 6,900, but it feels kind of messy in this one. I really would rather target the guards in this one, even though Pryor, obviously coming off the 36, he's been their best player. But 293rd in opponent assist rate is SMU. So I'm really looking at some of these guards that can score and distribute. So that takes me to Chris Youngblood at 6,400. He's been very consistent, more of a cash game type play. I don't think he really has a tournament ceiling, but if you're looking for somebody for double ups, head-to-heads, I would definitely look at Chris Youngblood for sure. If you're looking for tournaments, then I would look at Shelton Miguel. He is 6,500, so $100 more. You're going to kind of unlock 35 to 38 fantasy point upside in this spot. Both teams very strong defensively. I was actually kind of shocked to see the 143-point total on KenPom. I think if you're betting, take the under on that for sure. That's about it in this game. Maybe just some one-offs. Nothing really that intriguing in this spot. Sliding over to Purdue minus 13 at Michigan, 139-point total. This is probably going to be another beatdown. Purdue won 99-67 in this first spot. Michigan dead last in defense in the Big Ten. They're 11th in opponent 2-point percentage, 9th in opponent 3-point percentage, 11th in opponent steal rate. So there are a plenty of fantasy points to go around for this Purdue squad, who is projected to score 84 points in this one. Starts with Zach Edey, 11K. You are going to have to take some shots at punts, probably a couple of them to fit him in your lineup. 4X at 11K is going to be a 44 spot. He just missed that last game, and he's pretty much been 44 plus in 8 of the last 11 games. So you can feel pretty confident against this Michigan team that he's going to dominate them. Problem is, as the game get out of hand, hopefully, if you're playing Edey, Michigan can keep this game at least tight into the second half, even if it's the first part of the second half, so that way you can get a full complement of Zach Edey minutes. I guess the next guy that I would be most intrigued with, especially for tournaments, is going to be Lance Jones. He's 6,300. He hasn't been great recently, so I don't think anybody's going to play him, but he's flashed 30 to 35 fantasy point upside. He actually played really well against them in the first matchup. He benefits a lot from open threes from Zach Edey's collapsed defense on him. So Lance Jones, I'll be using in tournaments for sure. Braden Smith's obviously there at 8,100. You do have to spend some coin, but he has been magnificent this year. And the reason why Purdue will not get bounced in the first round, he's absolutely dominating right now. 34, 29, 47 in the last three, has 40+ fantasy upside in this spot today. So if you can find the coin to play Braden Smith, or if you're fading Zach Edey, I definitely don't mind Braden Smith at 8,100. These rest of these guys on this Purdue squad, I'm mixing and matching because I feel like you do maybe have to have two of these guys, two Purdue guys on your team. Mason Gillis at 5K, Lawyer at 4,900. Even Cameron Heide at 3,200 is intriguing. I know he's coming off the big game at 3,200. He's got 26 fantasy points in that last game. They're going to score in bunches as far as fantasy points and real life points. So you're definitely going to want to get plenty of Purdue action on this side. We got about 16 minutes to lock. Michigan, Purdue's fourth in defensive efficiency. The only thing that Purdue's given up, they're 11th in opponent 3-point percentage. So the guys that shoot threes, a little bit of a bump there. Doug McDaniel, I mean, he's always in play at this price tag. You just hate the matchup, right? But, I mean, he's got 30 to 35 fantasy point upside. If you think this game stays close, I would absolutely stack this game four to five guys. He is the guy that is going to make this game close if that does happen. So at 6,200, I definitely like Doug McDaniel for large field tournaments only. Obviously, our core piece here is going to be Trey Jackson again at 4,200, put up basically a 20 spot out against Northwestern. Now coming back home here at 4,200. I mean, it's still too cheap. Like 4X here is only 16 fantasy points. So Trey Jackson should get the start. I take a look at the Will Shedder news, make sure he's not starting. This is one of the later games, so you can kind of make that direct pivot if you need to. All these other guys, Burnett, Williams, Llewellyn, like they're priced correctly, so you don't really need to go to these guys. Sliding over, we got FAU -2 at Memphis. 160 point totals for the first of two matchups between both of these teams. Memphis 9th in defensive efficiency, 13th in opponent three-point percentage, so giving up a ton of threes. But the spot that you like for FAU is that Memphis turns the ball over and they get their shot blocked a ton. 317th in opponent shot block rate, 273rd in opponent steal rate. They also give up 233rd opponent assist rate. So plenty of fantasy points to go around the FAU side. Problem is they like to play a lot of guys. I am going to 50-50 Davis and Martin in every lineup. So Davis at 7,900, a core piece for us, just too cheap. I mean, he's going to go for 30 plus in this game. That's going to get you to 4X. His ceiling is 5 to 6X in this spot. John L. Davis, an absolute rock star. Obviously, we're getting the price decrease from that 24 last time out against a tough SMU squad, which we talked about. Why that South Florida SMU game is going to be pretty tough to get fantasy points in. But we definitely like the spot. Memphis is going to give up plenty of fantasy points, similar to Michigan. Elijah Martin at 7,000, you can save $900 here, and you can unlock another guy with 5X upside here, maybe even 6X upside if this game goes completely bonkers. Stacking these two guys together is a way to do it. But Martin, definitely a great three-point shooter, someone that can take advantage of stocks as well. The king of stocks for these guys is Vladislav Golden. The big man, he is at 7K. 33-29 the last two. You kind of like where things are headed with him. So definitely don't mind going here. The rest of these guys, Boyd, Witherspoon, Gaffney, like it's just kind of meh. I mean, they're 5,400, 5,300, 5,000 respectively. I don't think we need to go there. On the Memphis side, FAU 7th in defensive efficiency in the conference, 10th in opponent 2-point percentage. So guys that get to the basket, guys that can post up, obviously going to have an advantage here. David Jones is 9,200. Coming off the 17 spot. I don't know how you get to him, especially with Edey on the slate, but he's definitely in a good spot. I mean, this is going to be a game that yields I don't want to say the most fantasy points, but it's going to be up there as far as total and most fantasy points scored. So definitely don't mind getting to David Jones at 9,200, especially as a direct pivot to Zach Edey. If you're not playing him, I figure he's probably going to come in about 25% to 30% like he normally does. So David Jones, he's there. I don't know how much I'll get to him. Dandridge is out, so that's a boost to Tomlin and Jourdain. If I had to pick between the two, I would pick Jourdain. Quinterly, he's okay. 7,200. He's just kind of there, right? He's got 5 to 6X upside in this spot. I would rather just try to figure out a way to go all the way up to Jones, where I've got other guards that I'm just higher on than Quinterly, especially two of the guards on the other side that we just talked about, Martin and Davis. So on this Memphis side, if I'm doing anything, I'm probably just one-offing this side. Moving on to Ohio State at +9 at Michigan State, 139 point total. This is the only meeting between these two. Michigan State 3rd in defensive efficiency, 10th in opponent 2-point percentage, and 273rd in opponent assist rate. So, not looking at too much on this Ohio State side. Tough road game environment. Bruce Thornton at 7,700 is always a guy that is in play. He just plays a pile of minutes, has a high shot rate, high assist rate. So he's definitely intriguing. He's probably not going to have any ownership, less than 10%. So you can get into a guy that plays a ton of minutes and has high rates. You don't mind it for large field tournaments. Battle Nopara, it's just kind of annoying. Zed Key is a guy that I think I'm most interested in at 4,200. Yeah, he only had 10 fantasy points, but even the broadcast guys last game were saying Zed Key probably needs to be playing a little bit more. Obviously, that 22 spot was boosted by a bunch of stocks, but at 4,200, if he can give you 14, 15, 16, you are filling it, and you are absolutely moving on with that. On the Michigan State side, OSU is 12th in defensive efficiency, last in opponent 3-point percentage, so getting hurt by the 3-ball. Malik Hall, 7,600, he's just okay. I would rather save the $300 and play Tyson Walker at 7,300, a guy that has 35 to 40 fantasy point ceiling. I do have him in some tournament lineups. You can also play AJ Hoggard in tournament lineups, although he's been kind of meh recently. I think Trey Holloman's one of my favorite punts, sneaky type plays. 4,200, 17 and a 15. You're just looking for that 4X spot from these punts. So Trey Holloman, a guy that plays, low to mid 20s minutes, can hit threes. As a guy that flashes 3 to 4x consistency. So I think for all the punts that are kind of out there, he feels safer than most. I think Kohler here at 3,200 is going to be kind of sneaky for value. He's only 3,200. He doesn't need to do much. He's kind of seen his minutes trickle up. So you definitely don't mind that. I mean, at 8.75, at 13.25, you would obviously love that. That was against Michigan. He's only made one shot. So you got to think he puts a couple more in the basket. He has rebounding upside and even some shot blocking ability. So definitely don't mind it at all if you're looking for something for large field. So we got a couple of games left, about 10 minutes to go. We'll slide on over to Xavier +9 at Marquette, 153-point total. This is the first of two meetings between these teams. Marquette second in defensive efficiency, but they are giving up the 3-ball, 8th in conference, 330th in opponent assist rate. And you always love the guards on the Xavier side. So I'm not paying 8,800 for Olivari. 7,600 for McKnight. It feels right. It feels like they got the price right for 4X. So I'm not really going to that in tournaments. Desmond Claude at 6,900 is probably my favorite. A guy that just plays a pile of minutes. He's the cheapest of all these guys. He's flashed 30+ upside multiple times this season. So I'm looking at Desmond Claude in tournaments and cash for sure. Everything else on Xavier's side, the front court is an absolute mess right now. So not really messing with the Namisha and Abu Osman. His minutes came down and then he doesn't start and his minutes go back up. So I'm just not going to mess with that. I'd rather slide over to the Marquette side where Xavier's 8th in defensive efficiency, 9th in opponent 3-point rate, 357th in opponent assist rate. That means good things for Tyler Kolek. Obviously, guy is just such a beast, has 40+ fantasy upside. Love getting to him in tournaments and in cash. I know that he's not in our core. He's obviously a pivot. Like you could play Iguodala or Kolek as a core piece. I just like the way that Iguodala's been playing 8,200 at that forward spot. Like it feels like a lot of people are going to try to spin down at forward. So paying up at forward feels like a good move. So 8,200 for Iguodala. Xavier's terrible against bigs as well, so he should be able to collect an easy double-double. They facilitate the offense through him. He was running point the other day in the second half against DePaul, so he is such a good player. At 8,200, you can put Kolek or Iguodala in there. Cam Jones, too expensive now at 7.4. David Joplin's priced correctly at 5.5. Chase Ross at 4.7. I don't really think you need to do it this time. He's not playing DePaul, so Minnesota +6 at Nebraska, 146-point total. These two teams played in early December, 76-65 Minnesota at home. Elijah Hawkins, man, been great playing a pile of minutes, went 12, 6, and 11 last time out. Nebraska 5th in defensive efficiency in the Big Ten, but they're 10th in opponent 3-point percentage, 249th in opponent assist rate. Minnesota is number 1. A lot of that has to do with the play of Elijah Hawkins. Also getting a steal rate boost here, which Hawkins can do. 11th in opponent steal rate, 13th in opponent shot block rate. Hawkins at 7,500, a core play. Garcia at 7,800, like he's okay. I just don't think it's for me. The rest of these guys on the squad, I think if you're not playing Hawkins, playing Mitchell at 6K is pretty intriguing. More of a direct line pivot, a guy that can flash 5X upside in these spots where there's going to be plenty of fantasy points to go around. So don't mind Mitchell there. On the Nebraska side, Minnesota's 8th in defensive efficiency. They're 11th in opponent shot block rate and 12th in opponent steal rate. So there's going to be a ton of stocks in this game from both sides. So Nebraska also 279th opponent assist rate. Like this game is going to be fantasy goodness for a total that's 146 points. There's going to be a lot of turnovers, a lot of block shots, a lot of assists. You absolutely love that. I think of all the guys, Bryce Williams at 6,300 is probably my favorite. He absolutely smashed these guys in the first half of one of my better finishes, and he didn't do anything in the second half, which was really annoying. I think he needed like 4 more fantasy points. I would have taken down a GPP. But 6,300, like he just profiles really well. A guy that can get assists, a guy that can get stocks, a guy that scores for them. He does rebound well for a guard. Everybody else here, like Tominaga, like 62, I'd rather just play him under 6. Rink Mass at 7,100 and Juwan Gary at 6,500 are also intriguing because they do facilitate a ton for these guys. So Rink Mass at 7,100, GPP option. I don't think he's going to be more than 5% owned. And for a guy that has 40 to 50 fantasy point upside, I think you can get to Rink Mass for sure. So about 5 minutes to lock here. Hit the rest of these comments. Mama Rock saying good luck to everybody. Jason B saying he won a lot of money there. And I think we got a new commenter, SB, saying, let's get it, bro. So we'll flash this core 4 up there again. If you guys have any questions Let me know. We're going to be on for about another 5 minutes before we start our recap show. Shout out to everyone that joined this stream right here. I know it was kind of last minute. Jason B saying appreciate the work you guys do. Yeah, let me know if you have any 2v2 questions, 1v1 questions. Also, make sure you hit those likes and subscribes. I think we're closing in on 800 subscribers on YouTube, which is one of our goals this year, and that would be absolutely epic to get there by March. So we're hoping to do that. Upper 510 coming through saying, do you do the NCAA tournament? Absolutely. We do a ton of it. Our recap show is kind of like a, every week we're talking about everything. We're talking about mid-majors. We're talking about players to watch. We're talking about, we got our own power rankings, top 10. So yeah, upper 510, follow us because in March we're going to be super busy. Looks like our core four is now up here. Obviously, we're going to that Trey Jackson Valley at 4,200, Oso Iguodaro at 8,200, Davis at 7,900, and Hawkins at 7,500. So Warren Tyler jumping in here saying, how do you like Mason Gillis as a somewhat value option? I actually really like Mason Gillis. I really wish Purdue wouldn't play like 6 forwards so that way we could really get the blowout upside for Gillis. But yeah, I mean, because like the thing is, like Cameron Heidi's going to play a little bit here. He's 3,200. You've got TKR is there at 4,700. But I think it's a great idea to play backup bigs in this spot because Edie's going to smash these guys most likely. TKR starts with him, so you're going to get Mason Gillis off the bench and a guy that flashes. You just need four. Anybody 5,200 and under. You just need 4x. So if Mason Gillis goes up and gets you a 20, which he's done 2 of the last 3 games, that is an absolutely fire value play. Upper 510 saying you guys are absolutely the best. We appreciate that for sure. Just kind of a couple of things of note here, just kind of going through the slate and what I'm doing with each game. For the Creighton St. John's game, my 5 lineups, I've only got a share of Joel Soriano. I've got a share of Baylor Shireman, and I have 1 share of Farabello. For Maryland, I just have 1 share. In the Maryland Rutgers game, this thing is completely ugly, but it's super contrarian. I have 1 share of Julian Reese because it's kind of a DVP spot, which is weird to say with Cliff Amourier on the other side. SMU South Florida, I have 1 share of Zurich Phelps in tournaments. I'm not doing much else in tournaments outside of that. Purdue, I'm trying to get to 2 to 3 guys. Now, obviously, these are some of the later games. I'm not playing much of the first 3 games, so that's the one that locks you in 3 minutes. I'm in love with the later games. If I get burned in the first half, just have to play even more of catch up in the later half. But for the Purdue side, I want to play 2 to 3 guys. Michigan's scary, absolutely scary. They can keep it close. You got to like some of the guys, but Trey Jackson really is it. For FAU, Memphis, the FAU side, you have to really like because Memphis has been god-awful. They're going to miss the tournament, which is crazy. I think at one point we had them 5th in our power rankings like 8 weeks ago. Just an absolute collapse on their part for sure. David Jones, definitely interesting with ED on the slate because it feels like a lot of people might try to get to ED at 11K. Ohio State, Michigan State. I think this is the game where you can take shots on value. Zed Key there at 4,200 for Ohio State. Trey Holloman, Jackson Kolar at 4,200, 3,200 respectively. And then you just have to like the pricing in general on the Michigan State side. I mean, these guys are just too cheap for their implied total. So definitely don't mind that. On the Xavier Marquette side, this is going to yield a ton of fantasy points. Both teams shoot the three well. Both teams can't defend the 3. Both teams can't defend the assist rate. So yeah, there's going to be a ton of points in the 153. I kind of like the over in this spot. Love Iguodaro and Kolek on the Marquette side. Desmond Claude is absolutely too cheap. And for that last game, Minnesota-Nebraska, I have a ton because there are going to be a ton of stocks in this game. There is going to be a ton of fantasy points going around. Elijah Hawkins, an absolute smash play. Bryce Williams at 6,300 is going to be able to do a lot in this spot. And then Mast and Gary are definitely interesting options for tournaments. So looks like this thing's locking up in a couple of seconds. I say good luck to everyone. Warren Tyler saying he loves the Claude call. Yeah, he's going to play 37 minutes and he's 6,900. So just too cheap, right? And these late games, like they're just going to be fantasy goodness all over the place. And hopefully our value plays in that Michigan State and Ohio State, and one of them pans out, and we're going to be making some good dough. So, having said that, we are doing a kind of a two-parter, right? Like we're doing a live before lock show, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in the host of the Sunday night. Well, it is Sunday afternoon today, Mr. Nate C. Hustle. Chris Napier is in the house, and we're going to do call these like a back-to-back. This is like I don't know, man. This is crazy. It's like a crossover show, I guess. It's a Avengers type feel here, man. How are you today?
I'm good, man. Amazing job on this live before lock. Somebody texted me, texted us a little while ago. It says you're out here like an auctioneer, just blowing through these games, man. That's incredible.
What are you gonna say? No, what am I gonna say?
Yeah, exactly, man.
A little bit of Claude here, a little bit out there.
Yeah, tons of great info, man. Appreciate letting me do this, piggybacking on top of that, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely, man.
But yeah, hopefully everybody got that good information. Hopefully everybody gets those core fours, and let's go get that bread today, right?
Absolutely.
I know I'm gonna have to make some other plays in the back end of this show just so I can get tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Those late games are gonna be fire. But what do we got cooking on today's recap show? I think this is week 15. Jeez,
week 15. I don't know. All the weeks are running together now, man. We're in the midst of it, man. We're only a couple days away, we're a couple days away from March, man. This is crunch time, man. So a lot of big things happening out there in the college basketball world. Today, we'll go through our normal headlines, and we got mid-major minute, we got power rankings, we got it all. Hey, how's it going, Mama Rocks? How we doing today?
Hey, Mama Rocks. Man, Mama Rocks staying through for the double feature. That's the word I was looking for.
That's what's up. Yes, sir. Well, let's go ahead and jump in, right? We'll go ahead and jump into these headlines real quick. While everybody's watching the games and everything like that, they can still listen to us.
Absolutely.
The first one I wanted to get into was Wake Forest, man. They got that big quad 1 win over Duke. Filikowski gets injured during the court storm. Like, how insane is that? Mike, I mean, I just want your thoughts on that game. And then what do you think about that court storming situation, man?
Oh, man, how many times is it going to happen? But first, awesome job for Wake, Coach Steve Forbes. Been rooting for 3 years now for this thing to happen. I think it's finally going to happen. They've been on the bubble. It feels like for eternity, at least for the last 1,000 days, they've been on the bubble. But it feels like this one's going to get them in as long as they don't completely fall apart in the last 4 games. They shot 60% from the field. So that'll work most nights, you know. It was a tough defense. They did that against Hunter Salas. Was awesome. John Shire in the postgame talking about how great he played. He's following the footsteps of Tyree Appleby, Alondis Williams, who have been great for them. Sucks that we didn't get to see them in the tournament. But hoping to get to see Salas and these guys in the tournament. On the Duke side, I mean, they just didn't play any defense on the road, obviously. I mean, you shoot 53% on the road and you feel pretty good, but then you don't stop anybody on the other side. So that's what led to, obviously, this last-minute loss here. But the Filikowski situation reminds me of Caitlin Clark, who, like the same situation. Like, a lot of people are saying that she pushed and it's like a last-second reaction. Like, what do you – like, it's like in the moment. You're not expecting, to get trampled. I don't think it should be illegal, man. I really don't, because I think it's so fun. But I think the stadiums, they just, and the schools, they have to be better about roping it off. Like Creighton beat UConn the other day, and they had a quarter of the court over by the benches cut off to where the fans could just run, just take a rope, run the security guy, down the quarter of the court that keeps the players safe. And there's other things that you can put into place, but it just sucks that this might go away because it's part of the fun in college. Like, we had a 1-person court storm the other day for Detroit Mercy when they won their first game, and 1 person ran onto the court jumping up and down. Like, that's what makes college basketball absolutely fun, man. So it just I don't know, man. It would suck to see it go away, but I mean, you got people like Caitlin Clark and Kyle Filipowski getting injured or knocked down. It's just not a good look, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the NCAA, if they make any changes to the court storming. But I agree with you, man. I think it's a big part of the game. students celebrating with student athletes.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it. Same thing can be said in college football as well, like storming the field. Like if you make a big upset and that kind of thing, it you want to feel part of the team, right?
Yeah,
and
it's college, man.
It's college, man. That's where everybody goes crazy. But I mean, you can't have players getting injured. There's got to be a different way to go about this. If you see them going on one side, all the students and everything like that, just pressure everybody out the other side, right? There's got to be a better plan in place.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, it's such a cool part of college basketball. I hope they don't overcorrect. Which
let us know in the comments if you think it should go away or what you think is going to happen with it. I'm interested to see because there's all kinds of opinions going around right now on this thing. So people saying it should be out, should no longer be. People saying that there should just be better protocols, which is where I think we're both at. So we'll see. Well, it's the NCAA. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the overcorrection that I'm scared of, which tends to happen a lot with any kind of situation like this. So we'll see. We'll have to put a pin in that, and hopefully we won't have to give bad news on that end. Before we get into the next headline here, I do want to make sure everybody, if you're watching us, is your first time, long time, get in those comments. Let us know what you think, like Mike said. But also make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell bing, to make sure you know exactly when we're coming on live, when we're going to be doing these live before locks. It's crunch time, like I said earlier. We are going to be doing these, and sometimes like today, Mike's gonna be like, "Hey, let's just do a live before lock at 9:30 this morning," and then we have an hour to prepare for it. So, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when we come on. But moving on to the next headline here, I wanted to talk about Kentucky dismantling Alabama in that big SEC matchup yesterday. Mike, is Kentucky rounding into form down the stretch for you?
I don't even know that I can say that. I mean, so like the last 3 games, they beat Alabama and Auburn. And then sandwiched in between that is a bad LSU loss in the middle. So I don't know. Trey Mitchell's now out. I don't know what their identity is. Like if you ask me what's Kentucky's identity, I have no idea what I would say. I think they're capable of Final Four talent, just on talent alone, of making the Final Four. But like it's just one of those things where it just feels uncomfortable, and you don't like to feel uncomfortable as you get into March like that. You're supposed to start feeling comfortable about a team. So we were talking about this in November and December, saying we've got time. Well, the time is basically here, and it's going to be tough. I really think it's going to depend on matchups for these guys. That's with every game, right? It depends on who you play, but yeah, not really sure to think about them. So I'm going to flip it around to you, my friend. What do you think about Alabama's collapse on the road? It was weird. It was like a 30-point game at one point.
Yeah, man. I mean, it wasn't a great look for the Tide, right? I mean, they gave up 63% from the field and turned the ball over 16 times. I mean,
it's not good.
Not good. I mean, I feel like there's this is more of an outlier, but it is a little concerning, like you said, heading into March. I mean, these are the games that the committee is going to look at, right? Yeah. I mean, they've been so consistent in the SEC. I mean, their last 5 losses overall have been against ranked teams. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in the next coming week, man. Hopefully they get some wins, and hopefully they can get some confidence going into March here. So next up on the things that I wanted to talk about today, huge game in the Big 12 yesterday. Houston outlasts Baylor in overtime yesterday. I mean, that's 5 in a row for the Cougars. Are you ready to anoint them, give them the crown, Mike, Big 12, or what?
Hey, man, I've been tough on them since coming over from the AAC, but they're proving to be up to the challenge. They now sit atop the Big 12 with a 1-game lead. Getting it done with defense, like that's like one thing that you can absolutely just staple to them every year is they're going to be an absolute monster defensively. But hey, they got a tough road test. Desperate Oklahoma squad this Saturday. Oklahoma kind of teetering on another collapse like they did last year. So, yes, when you start going on the road in these very, very late regular season games, the crowds are crazier, especially these teams on the bubble. These become like the most jacked up, most physical like games that you can have out there. And that's what Houston's built for. They're built for physicality. So I would say they should be able to handle it, but I could see marking this one. I could see, this being maybe a Houston as a 2-point favorite. And then I would want to pick Oklahoma as a home dog in this spot. But the path is obviously super clear for Houston to get another number 1 seed, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Big 12, it's a juggernaut, and they're taking care of business, right?
Taking care of business. That's what Jay would do if you were here.
Yeah. I like to sing, but not on camera. So
in the shower.
To the next headline. It's our last headline, and then we'll get into some other things here. But I wanted to talk about Seton Hall. They pull away late from Butler in a battle of the bubble here. The Big East bubble has been an absolute cinema this week. I mean, you had Providence, Xavier, St. John's, Villanova, along with these two teams trying to get in. Butler just couldn't get any offense going down the stretch, though. Seton Hall had to get this. They had to get this one. They're on the road against Creighton and UConn in the coming week. Two pretty good teams. So
yeah, that's a tough road stretch.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're going to win either one of those, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they get one of those, they're going to be in. But I mean, it feels like they've done enough to get in regardless. But Mike, do you have any second thoughts on the Big East here?
I think they're a lock for 5 teams, maybe a 6th team, but you got Mid-Steelers are probably 5 teams. UConn, Marquette, Creighton, they are in for sure. So I think it's a 6-team battle for the final 2 spots. Me personally, I think Seton Hall's done enough, like you said. I mean, 11+ wins in Big East play. They do have DePaul. They're going to get to 12. They got DePaul on the schedule. I think that's the magic number to get in, 11 wins in the Big East. Providence has the inside track for that final spot, but they have to play Marquette and UConn in 2 of the last 4, so not an easy stretch for them as well. Their game this Saturday against Villanova is going to play a big part in this final spot. But for me, man, I think Seton Hall's in. I think they've absolutely done enough for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those were our headlines, man. If you guys loved them, let us know in the comments. Like, share. Hit the bell button. Let's get going. We're going to jump in to our, again, I say this every time we go through this, one of my favorite segments here. We're going to jump into the mid-major minute, and with March fast approaching, let's hear about some Cinderella thoughts here, man. What do you got here? We're going to jump into this mid-major minute.
All right, got another mid-major edition. It's time to, like Nate C. Hustle said, it's time to get ready for some potential March upsets, right? So we're going March Cinderella watch on this mid-major minute. So I want to talk about 3 conferences. Obviously, these conferences need to win, maybe not the first one, but most of the conference tournaments, they need to be secured by these teams in order to get in to the tournament. So we will start with the Missouri Valley, Jay's favorite conference, the one true mid-major this year that has a chance to get 2 at-large teams in. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is absolutely in play for sure. So, the Missouri Valley, man, featuring 2 teams at the top. We thought this was going to be a lot closer race, but they're pulling away here. So you got Indiana State sitting at 24-5, 15-3 in the conference, leading Drake, who was 14-4, 1 game behind with 2 games to go. For Indiana State head coach Josh Schwartz, 3rd year. I mean, just got some players here. Isaiah Swope, the transfer, averaging 16.9 points. Robbie Avila, averaging 16.7 points, 7 rebounds, getting all the love on social media for being Nikola Jokic-like. They're currently sitting 46th in KenPom, sporting the 28th in offensive efficiency and 86th in the country in defensive efficiency. For Drake, we spoke to Coach DeVries 2 years ago. He was kind enough to grant us an interview. He is now in his 6th year at Drake. His son has become a absolute star. That is Tucker DeVries. He is averaging 21 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. I think the key to their team, though, is Darnell Brody, the big man in the middle. Surprise comeback for his COVID year, but averaging nearly 12 points, just over 8 rebounds. Drake is sitting currently 50th in the Kim Pom standings here, 35th in offensive efficiency, 89th in defensive efficiency. The Southland Conference, a conference not known for many March upsets, features one of the scariest teams in the country, and that's McNeese State. They're 24-3, 13-1 in conference. Will Wade, yes, that Will Wade of LSU lore, is the coach there. For how long, we are not sure. But Shahada Wells, averaging 17 points, 4.5 rebounds, almost 5 assists, has been an absolute star. Christian Shoemate, their first-team all-league player, came back this year, averaging 12.4 points, 9.7 rebounds. They are currently sitting 65th in Kim Pom, 59th in offensive efficiency, 90th in defensive efficiency. And the final conference I wanted to touch from these mid-major ranks is the SoCon. SoCon, a really solid league. They've done a lot of damage in March. So Samford sitting here leading the conference. They're 25-4 overall, 14-2 in conference. Bucky McMillan has done a fantastic job in his 4 years there. Achura, the forward there, averaging 15 points, nearly 6 rebounds. AJ Stanton, a very good guard, averaging 12.7 points, 4.9 rebounds. They can absolutely shoot the 3-ball. They're currently sitting 72nd in the Kim Pom metrics, 46th in offensive efficiency, and 115th in the defensive efficiency standpoint. So that right there was your mid-major minute.
Always love that mid-major minute. Great job, Mike. I know you worked tirelessly watching all these games and getting all these names.
ESPN Plus.
There you go. The Ocho. Oh, all the numbers, all the Spanish numbers there. Yeah, man. Always love those. And yeah, like we were talking about, those could be Cinderella stories that we're going to be talking about a ton in March. So real interesting to hear them before anybody else is really talking about them, right? So speaking of March coming up, we have our Bubble Watch, a new segment that we started a couple weeks ago with everything coming up so fast. We want to shine some light on these teams that are on the bubble.
Yeet.
Mike, who do you got first?
All right, man. So look, I know I got the burnt orange on right now, but let's be realistic. Like Texas A&M, let's just look at the resume first. All right, 15-12, 6-8 in the SEC. Their net ranking is 49th. They're 6-5 in Quad 1, which is awesome, but they're 2-4 in the Quad 3, which is kind of taking away from the 6-5 Quad 1. They've also lost 4 in a row. They have a huge home game against South Carolina next. So South Carolina, a ranked opponent, another Quad 1 opportunity. I think they absolutely have. If they lose this game, like there's just not many. When we're coming down to the last 2, 3, 4 games for a lot of teams, they're probably going to do some damage in the SEC tournament if they can't come up with one more quality victory. So Nape C. Hustle, who you got on the old bubble spot right now?
Who I have on the bubble spot is Butler. They're 16-12, 7-10 in the Big East. They're netted at 62nd right now, 4-10 in Quad 1 games. They had a playoff game last night at Seton Hall. The playoffs, and they fell short. I mean, they only have 3 games left and very little opportunity to boost that resume. So they need to win these 3 games. If not, then like you said with the Aggies, I mean, they need to do some damage in the tournament, Big East tournament coming up as well. So I have Butler on my bubble watch, bubble, not Bubba watch. Mike, who you got next on your bubble here?
Yeah, I got it sounds like I'm picking on people right now. I had the Aggies, and I got the former Texas fired coach Chris Beard at Ole Miss. They're 19-8, 6-8 in the SEC. So going back to the well with these 6-8 SEC teams, they're 68th in the net, 3-6 in the Quad 1. They've lost 5 of their last 6. Not good as well. You want to be winning 5 of 6 going down the stretch, not losing 5 of 6. So this is where they're 256th, the non-conference strength of schedule. This is where not scheduling tough teams is really coming back to bite you. You start losing in conference towards the end of the year. You didn't play anybody at the beginning of the year. You started like 13-0. There's a reason you started 13-0. So they've had so many opportunities against ranked teams over the last couple of weeks to really get in. If they had just gotten one or two of those, they're right here, and it just does not happen. So Ole Miss and Texas A&M, like in the SEC tournament, are going to probably need to do some work. We'll see what the Aggies do against South Carolina. Who is our final team? And I think you're probably going to pick someone from your favorite conference. Who you got?
I am, but one thing I do want to say is, Mike, you have your own show. What better way to pick on people? Talk about them on your own show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But like you said, I am going to pick somebody from my own conference, the Pac-12. No, it's not Arizona State. I'm going to pick on the Colorado. Picking on Colorado here. They're 18-9, 9-7 in the Pac-12. They're netted at 41st. They're 2-5 in quad one games. I mean, it's a roller coaster year in the Pac-12. I mean, they may only get 2 teams in.
Yeah,
I mean, Colorado needs to win out in their last 4 games just to get that consideration to get in, really. Yeah. So it's a dogfight in the Pac-12 right now, and that's my team's not going to make
last Pac-12.
Yeah, the last Pac-12, and now I just got to root for ASU to do something in the NIT if they beat that. So we'll see about that. Those are our bubble watch teams. We had Texas A&M, Butler, Ole Miss, and Colorado. Let us know in the comments, like Jay did here just a second ago with those fire emojis.
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
there he is. Yeah, but let us know in the comments if you agree or if you have any bubble teams that you want to shout out as well. And while you're there, make sure you like and subscribe. Check that notification bell. Tell your friends, family, even that annoying guy at the water cooler about us. We'll all day. Moving on to our world famous one and done power rankings.
Yeah.
Since you've done enough talking, I will go ahead and take the
first mean,
Mike. You're gonna need some what do you
get some? Here we go.
Some hot honey in there. There you go. To clear that throat. But I will go ahead and take the first go at the power rankings. I'm going to come in at number 10. We talked about Alabama, 19-8, 11-3 in conference. They're down 3 spots from our last rankings. They got stomped by Kentucky yesterday. I mean, their overall strength of schedule is what's keeping them in our top 10. I mean, they're tied with Tennessee at the top of the SEC. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks, especially with the tournament coming up, if they can hold on. But Alabama is number 10. Mike, you're done resting. Who's number 9?
We'll go to my Big 12, Iowa State Cyclones. They are 21-6, 10-4. No change. They lost to Houston midweek, bounced back yesterday by beating West Virginia. I think they're probably I don't even know what to do with these guys. Like, I don't get excited when I look at their roster. I don't get excited when I watch their games. I think that they can beat anyone and everybody. They've obviously shown that. I think they're like the biggest wild card heading into March. They could be this tournament could be just like out of control, and it's just like Iowa State just like going to the Elite Eight, just cruising through because they play solid defense. They play team basketball. Like, there's not like this superstar there. So for me, it is going to be Iowa State at number 9. Who you got at number 8?
Number 8, I'm sticking with the SEC. We're going with Auburn, 21-6, 10-4 in conference. They are down 4 spots. Again, I'm getting all the down people, I guess, people moving down the list here. They lost at home to Kentucky last weekend, have now fallen into 3rd place in the SEC. I mean, they do get a big matchup with Tennessee this Wednesday, so we're definitely going to be watching that and keying in on that game, and I'm sure we'll have some great fantasy plays on that as well.
Oh, you're just thinking about the fantasy side over here, huh?
Hey, man, I'm just trying to make money, make a little coin on the side,
There you go, man. Feel that too, brother. Feel that too.
So Auburn, number 8. Mike, who is at number 7?
Number 7, we're going to have those UNC Tar Heels sitting at 21-6, 13-3 in the ACC. We've got them up 1 spot. Solid road win at Virginia yesterday, but If you looked at that score, these teams, they didn't even combine for 100 points. That was an absolute slugfest. They looked the part of a Final Four team. We know how much I love their core players. Baycott, Davis, Ingram's been so good for them. They're going to take on a desperate Miami, who I think is, you can pretty much put a fork in them with their injuries. And a desperate, I think the NC State game, because it's a rivalry, I think that is going to be, especially with NC State being a little bit away from the bubble, trying to get to the bubble to get it, trying to play to get in. So NC State, North Carolina, that game should be a lot of fun. But North Carolina is sitting here at our number 7 spot. Who you got at number 6?
Number 6, the Marquette Golden Eagles, the Fighting Shaka Smarts, down 1 spot. They're sitting at 20-5, 11-4 in conference. They got manhandled by UConn last weekend. They have a tough final 5-game stretch, I should say. They still have a path to a 1 seed though, so it's real interesting. Again, we're down to crunch time, and this next week and a half, 2 weeks is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Maybe see a lot of movement in our power rankings here. So that rounds out the top, or I guess top 5. What about the bottom 5 here? Let's do the top 5 of that's what I was trying to say. Mike, start us out with the number 5 here.
Yeah, I got Tennessee, 21-6, 11-3. They were not ranked the last time we did our power rankings. It's been about 10 days or so since we did that. So Tennessee is leapfrogging because now they are tied at the top of the SEC. They obviously played that Maui tournament with a bunch of good teams. Their non-con schedule, when you look at it, man, they're a big mover, right? They've won 4 in a row, and then being at the top of the SEC counts for something. We'll have our eyes on both of this week's matchups, whether or not they're going to move ahead, because these 2 games could move them even further up to get to that 1 line, because it looks like it's a battle between them and maybe someone else we're going to mention here in just a second for that final number 1 seed. But they're playing Auburn and Alabama, so doing the old Alabama 2-step there. So Tennessee sitting there at number 5. Who we got at number 4?
Number 4, Arizona Wildcats.
Your Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah, and my Arizona Wildcats. Yeah, 21-6, 12-4 in conference. They moved up 2 spots here. I mean, they've won 7 of their last 8. They did get swept by Washington State, but trounced Washington yesterday. So they're 1-1 in the state of Washington. They have one of the easiest paths remaining, which good for them, I guess.
Good for you.
We'll see what happens in the tournament. Whenever we do our tournament brackets, you already know, I told you, they're going to be out in the second round in my eyes. But they're number 4 in our power rankings today. But yeah, I mean, that's number 4, the Arizona Wildcats. Mike, let's round out the top 3 here. You got it, number 3.
Yeah, number 3 is Purdue here. Down 1 spot, 24-3, 13-3 in the Big Ten. They lost to Ohio State last Sunday. That hurts their chances at the number 1 overall seed and being able to play close to home. They're still a lock to get a 1 line, but can they get the first round monkey off their back? I think that's everyone's question. I know Eric's going to be paying attention to that since they lost to a 16, a 15, and a 14 the last 3 years. So Purdue sitting there at number 3. We've got our screen back up here with some technical difficulties. So Houston at number 2. Chris, what do you think about the old Cougs that we talked about a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I mean, the Cougars, man, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, they're up 1 spot from last power rankings. I mean, they had that impressive overtime win with Baylor yesterday. That was a crazy game. Jamal Shead and Juwan Roberts playing like All-Americans. Now, the question is, can they hold on to this 1 game they hold in the Big 12 with 4 to go? We'll see, man. Like I said earlier, it's a juggernaut of a league. We'll see what they can do. I hope that a newcomer coming in and taking over, that'd be awesome, man. That'd be kind of cool to see. But yeah, Houston's number 2. Looks like UConn is our number 1. I mean, no change. What do you got on them?
Yeah, no change. 25-3, 15-2. Hey, they did look mortal against Creighton. But that's my Creighton team. Like, we know they're winning the national title. So, it's not a bad thing to lose to them, but obviously a tough road game. Just their 3rd loss on the season, like Houston, but they got back on track. They dismantled Villanova yesterday. pound for pound, just the best team in the country. So, yeah, we're holding steady here with that top 5. Tennessee, Arizona, Purdue, Houston, and those UConn Huskies, the defending national champions. Wrap us up, Chris.
Yeah, man, great show today. We had that combination show. Appreciate you doing that live before lock. I know a lot of people love that live before lock. Thank you to all the commenters out there. I'll shout them out. I know Mama Rocks was here. We had Upper 510, 510, Warren Tyler, Jay coming in late with those fire emojis. Jason B. We had a new person here, I think was
SB. Shout out to SB.
Shout out SB. We had, of course, Cam coming in and saying what's up. So thank you to everybody that came in on the live chat. If you're watching this after, still hit those comments. We'll go in there. We'll respond if we can. And tomorrow we're going to be back on, or you'll be back on tomorrow night for Tuesday's big slate. Other than that, do you have any final thoughts on the day, man?
Nah, man. Let's just get ready for March and let's get a little more bread and let's enjoy the final the final home stretch here. As it's not the longest season in the world. It's not baseball, but it just comes fast and heavy, and there's a lot of teams, 362 teams in Division I. So it's been a fun ride. But looking forward to finishing out DFS and doing these recaps, and we'll be not only doing recaps, we'll be doing some other shows as well as we get into tournament season.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to that. Once we get into that season, make sure you are liked and subscribed and have that notification bell, because we're going to be coming in hard and fast with all these shows. But until next time, make sure you go out there, make a stranger smile. Don't hug a stranger like I said last time. That was weird. Make a stranger smile. Make somebody's day. You never know what they're going through. But until next time, let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.